Welcome to episode 148 of the Guardian 1 podcast, recorded September 14th, 2017, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Still here.
Sharks.
Gall's dead. I need a new shirt.
And Gray.
Good evening, everybody.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny 2, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Budgie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you very much, Hollow River. All right. We have a ton of stuff to talk about tonight. And I know that I say that every night, but if there was one night that blew all those other ones away and made me look like a liar, it would be this night right now. We have PAX to talk about. Fantastic PAX West 2017. And also the release of Destiny 2. That alone, either one of those we could use the entire 2 hours to talk about. And so I don't even really know where to begin. I feel like I should begin with PAX, but I feel like maybe we should save that till later. Maybe we should just dig right into Destiny 2. I just don't know. Gray, what do you think? Start with PAX, start with Destiny 2. What do we want?
I think we got to give the people what they want, and I think that they want Destiny 2 talk maybe a little bit more than PAX. So I think maybe starting with D2, and then we can round up with some PAX coverage, because PAX certainly was excellent. But I think the people are really going to want to hear about our thoughts on D2.
That is pretty much what I was thinking as well. Excellent. Well, then let's just get right into it. Destiny 2 launched, and for me, D2 ended up being so much of what I wanted in Destiny 1. Look, just the addition of Lost Sectors all by itself was so refreshing, and it feels amazing to walk into a cave and then just have it open up. You know, the idea behind that is something that I so wanted so badly in Destiny 1. There was a period of time, at least a month or two, where I just ran around the locations and I would run into these caves to get the chest. And I just kept thinking every time I ran in there, I wish this went further. I wish that there was an adventure to be had here. And in Destiny 2, we get that. And it's really cool because I feel like the addition of the little symbol for Lost Sector is cool, but it's not necessary. So many times I've just been on a location and I'll just see a cave opening and I'll walk over to it and it just opens up into this amazing hideout. And so for me, that's probably my favorite addition to Destiny 2. And so let's just start there. Jez, what is your favorite addition in Destiny 2? What is the one thing that you can think of that just this is what has made this game so much better for you?
This is going to be controversial, but I actually really like the shaders.
You know, I could see why you would say that would be controversial. because a lot of people are upset that they are consumables at this point. What is it about the shaders specifically that make it so that the fact that they're consumable is not a big deal to you?
Just the amount you actually get if you are playing. Sure, it kind of sucks if the shader you want is Eververse, and that shader is not being sold that week. But if you're playing, you're going to have enough bright engrams to drop, to disenchant, to turn into bright dust that you can buy the shaders that you want if it's available for sale. So just stock up on the weeks that it is there.
Interesting. I read on Twitter, paraphrasing from Luke Smith, he said that he wanted there to be a conversation about, I am interested in picking up this shader, so I'm going to go back and do this specific activity. Is that something that you also agree with?
Technically, yeah, because I'm interested in getting the raid gear, but I'm more interested in getting the raid shader. Or more of it.
Interesting. Adel Fulton. Whoa. That was crazy. Someone got an ad. Adel Fulton 26 says, I'm upset about it. Why are you upset about it? And Jez, what do you think is do you feel like the people who are upset about this, do you feel like there is a valid concern there?
Well, it's concerning that people will say I like this shader, and then you just don't have any of it, so you can't make your entire outfit match. And it's kind of sucky that they hand them out in such short supply. Like if you bought 10 of a kind, people will probably have less of an issue of it, probably.
I see what you're saying.
But as it stands, I think they're meant to be a little bit more of a what is the word for it?
Disposable?
No, they're consumable, so that there's a desire to get them. Because as shaders were, you got them once, and then people were like, oh, well, I guess I don't have to do that again because I already have the shader. Or it makes shaders more disposable in a way compared to when they're consumable.
Interesting. I have yet to reach the point where I'm really adding any shader that I have less than 12 than to anything, even in specific situations where I'm only applying to one or two pieces of gear, like for the raid, when we went and did the raid yesterday, I had one piece of armor, or I had two pieces of armor that stood off. My whole outfit was this powder blue, and then the arms were like camo green, and the chest was totally white. So in the interest of looking good while raiding, I added two pieces of powder blue to that. Now, powder blue I also have more than 12 of, and I really like powder blue for some reason. That's been my go-to. I have put it on ships. I've put it on a Sparrow, but I feel like as far as the guns are concerned, like the Sparrow and the ships, I can put it on there and it's like a permanent thing. I feel good. Once I find a good color for that, I feel good leaving it there. But for guns, I feel like I haven't yet reached the point where, this is my loadout. I'm still at the point where if I get a new gun, I have to use that because I don't have enough infusion interest to pull that up. You know what I'm saying? Or no?
If you shader a gun, you're more likely to pull it up with infusion or abandon the gun.
Well, the thing is I will be enjoying this auto rifle, and the very next thing I get is a pulse rifle, and so I can't infuse that pulse rifle into the auto rifle. I have to use that pulse rifle, so I have to leave this other one behind until I find an auto rifle that I can use to infuse it. So I feel like I'm just leaving these things behind until I reach a point, until all of my gear is highest. Do we know what highest light level is yet?
I think everything's starting to cap at 305.
Interesting.
I think it's meant to cap at 300.
Interesting.
Oh wait, yeah. actually, that makes more sense. 300, and then the 5 is the boost, the armor boost.
Yeah, the mods.
Let's see. Unilala says the Rage shader is so sweet. I bet it is. I don't have it yet.
Go ahead.
Pig Jockey says I'm cool with it 10 times better than Destiny 1 than the Destiny 1 launch when we had 6 total. Haha. That's funny. Adol Fulcon 26 says I want to be able to have permanent shader. And I feel like that was kind of a bonus in Destiny 1. And this is something that I feel bad for people who started Destiny 1 so late. You're introduced to the system where you have a shader, and then no matter what piece of armor you choose, it's going to go with whatever shader you have equipped. For me, someone who's been playing for a long time, the idea that I could change just one piece, and the idea that I'll be playing this like a million hours of this, I feel like I will at some point have hoarded enough of these shaders to be okay spending these things, but I could definitely see where you're coming from.
It feels like there's going to be a time that someone's going to have to complain that it's taking so long to dismantle an entire stack of shaders.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, Agrios, you wanted to add something?
No, I double thought what I was going to say and decided not to say it, but I mean, if you want me to share what I think about shaders, I'd be happy to.
If you would like to share what you're thinking about shaders, that's excellent. And then I would also like to know what your most favorite aspect of Destiny 2 is.
Okay. I don't. I love everything about the new shader program except for the fact that they're disposable, or that they come in so limited numbers, and particularly for like the higher end ones from like Eververse or whatever. Because even if someone were to decide to buy, these bright engrams and stuff, there's still no guarantee they're going to get, which shaders and how many of them, they'll be able to accumulate. And I had a lot of fun changing my colors around in Destiny. Like, I had fun, I'm a Sunsinger, I'm going to throw on my Midas Touch and be super shiny gold. And now I'm going to, I go into a new raid and it's super dark in area and I'm in, so I'm going to throw on my Glowhoo. And now I'm going to go into the Crucible, and I definitely don't want to be running down the hallway in my Glowhoo. So I'm going to throw on something cool looking, but, doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And I had a lot of fun changing those around, like, fairly regularly in Destiny 1. The problem is that if I decide I like one of these, like, legendary shaders from Eververse or something like that, and we're not talking about, like, the ship or the sparrow, we're talking about, like, my armor set or my weapons. If I put this on my armor to make me look this way, I'm never going to want to replace it. It's so hard to have accumulated enough things to make my entire outfit that legendary color that, well, that's the one I'm wearing. I'm not going to get to flip this around all the time for whatever activity I'm doing or just for fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I agree with you. The only thing that's keeping me sane and happy about this is that I'm able to do like a preview of each of these things. So part of the fun for me with these shaders is I'll get a piece of gear and then I will just run through every single shader I have. Like it's really cool seeing, Suros with that Phoenix or the Dragon, whatever it is, in different colors, in different color schemes. It's really fantastic. But I totally get what you're saying. The idea that you would be able to just swap on the fly these shaders that was really cool, being able to do that. And you're right, you're not going to want to just burn through these, especially if it was something like, here is this shader that you like, and then, like you're saying, you want to go into Crucible, so you want to switch it up. Like, you are now consuming these, where does it end? And I could see at some point doing that. I could see at some point being very interested in just burning through shaders. Like, if I had 50 of each of them, and at some point we will. I think I had like 4,000 strange coins at the end of Destiny 1, so those were pretty rare, I would say. So yeah, I don't know. All right, so tell us now, what is it about Destiny 2 that has just made you super happy? Like, this was what you were asking for in Destiny 1, and this is what's very exciting to you. I mean, assuming you have one.
Well, I think if you thought really hard about what it would be in general, that you would really know. My favorite thing about Destiny 2 is that it's not held back by last gen.
Oh man, yeah, that's true. If I really thought about it, I could have guessed that. You're right. You know what? There was nothing on the line. There wasn't like a like a little theme music playing. There's no prize money. But you're right. That was it. So is Destiny 2 standing up to what you were hoping to see as with the game not being held back by last gen?
No.
What more would need to happen in order for you to be pleased by this?
Well, I mean, if I'm really into something, I'm fairly difficult to completely please. But that said, I was hoping for what I mean. I said this a lot for Destiny 1 too, just more. Like I'm not completely dissatisfied with anything, but I'm also not entirely satisfied. Like I wanted everything to be bigger and deeper and more exploration required and things like that. I like. Don't get me wrong. I'm being critical right now. I like Destiny 2. I just was expecting it to be a little bit more grand than it is relative to Destiny 1, without the limitations of last gen. But I do really like what Destiny is. Now, there are some things they took a step back in some areas. I feel like there are certain features and like things in the UI and things like that were brought to us in Destiny 1 that aren't present now in Destiny 2. Trying to think of a couple of them offhand. Like I know a lot of people have said about you can't check your reputation with all the different factions from like your character screen anymore. You actually have to travel to the planet and walk up to the person to find out like what your status is with them or whatever. And some people were mentioning things like that. But there were a couple other things I had in that category that they did in Destiny 1, but they're not currently doing in Destiny 2. I'm not thinking of offhand here. If I come up with it, I'll let you know. But a couple things like that. And I was just hoping for one of the things in particular was I felt like the new story structure that they brought in with the Taken King and some of the way they did their quest threads and some of the way they tied things together and how they tied the raid into the story. I felt like some of that maybe wasn't laid out as well in the new Destiny as they did for the Taken King as far as some of the quests go. Like for me, the raid kind of came out of nowhere. Like, what is this? What is going on? How is this introduced to me?
I see what you're saying. I feel like I wish that they would have released the raid much later, like another week or another 2 weeks. There's a lot that you miss by just running through the story, which is still what you ended up having to do, even though they gave us a little bit more time in between the raid and the release, like, more than the last one. I feel like there was, for example, on Xbox, I'm at the Almighty level. And I just decided, you know what, I just can't even play one more minute longer because I've played so much Destiny 2. And when I went back in today to the director, the Almighty actually has its own icon on the director right above and in between the Crucible and the and Nessus. And I thought that was really fantastic. This is really cool. Like, I wish that they had given us more time to enjoy the world as it went. The thing about the farm, like, that was really excellent. Like, I loved the progression of the story, but I feel like if you want to enjoy the raid, if you want to get it if you want to play it the day it comes out, you really have to skip over so much of what's going on in the game. And I know that I still have these other characters to run, but I know how it ends now. I know how the game ends, or at least this part of the game ends. So, same thing with the I don't know, whatever you were saying. I forgot what you were saying. Please continue, Agrios. Are you still there, Agrios?
That's no, that I mean that more or less sums up what I think about the Destiny 2. Like I appreciate all the things that they've managed to scale up, that they weren't held back by last gen. But then on that same note, it seems like they took 2 steps forward and 1 step back in a certain couple situations.
Before I forget, I've been meaning to ask a developer on Twitter about this. I'm curious to know if you still have to go to orbit or go to another planet in order for all of your drops that you didn't pick up to end up back at your postmaster. I know that was the thing in Destiny 1. If you wanted to make sure you got all of your rewards, you had to hit orbit before logging out, or else it wouldn't count. I've been meaning to ask that. Hopefully someone reminds me.
I have been doing that myself because I have been. It's a good question. I was just actually contemplating it earlier today.
Excellent. One of us should ask somebody. Okay. Let's see. Sharks.
I should note before we move on to sharks. There is a way to. The story for how the raid is getting there is actually on your map. Probably still. It's called Invitation from the Invitation from the Emperor, and it's an adventure on Nessus.
Interesting.
I must not have seen that yet.
I mean, there's really so much in this game going on that it's easy to miss something like that because I didn't see that. I'll definitely be looking for it now. Thank you for that, Jez.
Yeah, Jez, was it always there, or was that something that came up right with the launch of the raid?
I don't know.
Because I'm in the same boat where I don't believe that I saw it, but I'm also not 100% sure that I did all the adventures on Nessus.
Well, see, that's the thing. I thought I did, in a way, all the adventures on Nessus, but I also have 2 adventures that I don't remember that are still active on my map that I don't remember not doing.
I mean, to be honest, guys, I kind of feel like I'm in Destiny hangover mode right now. Like, the fog is starting to lift, but when you put in, like...
yesterday I went to bed at 4 a.m., woke up at 3 p.m.
Yeah. When you put in, 40 hours of gameplay in less than a week, it's kind of like getting out of a fog, and it's hard to remember because the adventures themselves are, relatively short experiences in that 40 hours of gameplay that I can't recall exactly specific ones. They kind of blend together eventually.
Life Panther says the adventure was before the raid, but might be an after campaign adventure. I think
it's probably after the campaign because it probably spoils parts of the campaign. Like, oh, Gaul's dead, so let's do this. Even though some of those seem to leak through as well.
Interesting. Okay, Sharks. What is your absolute favorite part of Destiny 2? What is it that you've had happen or seen that you think is really excellent?
I have a question before I answer.
Okay.
Am I allowed to spoil?
That's a good question. It depends on what you want to spoil. Are we talking about all of the campaign?
I feel like he's probably trying not to
I can answer without spoiling it. I can answer without spoiling it.
Okay, do it.
Okay. My favorite part about my favorite part so far in what I've done that seemed the most epic to me was how the game ended.
Okay.
And how Bungie let people know that you can continue playing Destiny. It's not over. That was my favorite part. So that doesn't spoil it for anybody. I'm not telling you how it ended, and I'm not telling you what it is that they do to make you want to continue or have a reason to continue. But that was the most epic, amazing part. Right when that happened, I was like, wow. There were certain aspects of the end I didn't like, but it just overall, that was my favorite part.
I can't wait until we're talking about all of the campaign, because one of those final lines was like I read that I saw it and I was like, oh hell yeah. This is awesome.
I almost think that we should at this point be able to say that to people, and maybe give people an idea, like, okay, for the next 10 minutes we're going to talk about certain aspects, and maybe even do that tonight. I mean, it just depends on how much we have, but yeah, because I mean,
I
at
think
this
we're getting
point,
out of having to worry about spoiler range.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, we're going to talk about potentially even talk about certain things of the raid, which again would be spoilers for certain aspects of it. So, we just have to tread lightly. But anyways,
just
I
gotta
can
warn
answer
them.
like
We're
that.
warned about spoiler mode is what we're in. We're in warn about spoiler mode.
But
you warn they're coming, and then you let them go.
Okay,
Right,
so
but
before
I
we
can answer, that's my answer. I can answer it like that, and I can feel good that I didn't spoil it for anybody.
would you like to weigh in on the shader system and or whether or not Bungie made it as epic as it could have, should have been in comparison to D1?
Okay, so first we'll go shaders, because I know that's been a really hot topic since the game launched. In fact, it was such a hot topic, okay, that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find a comment that one of my friends made to me, if I can find it here anywhere. I know a lot of people are really upset about this, the shader system in general. Just kind of, it kind of blows in some regards for like the reasons like what Agrios is saying, not being able to just switch over to whatever you want. But at the same time, I can't find the exact wording. I'm not going to bother doing that. But at the same time, I understand. No, I mean, I don't see it being that big of a deal. And the reason is because you get so many shaders. And I didn't even put shaders on anything. Part of the reason was because they weren't transferable like that. But I didn't put any shaders on until I got leveled up and decided that I wanted certain types of gear. And I've got so many shaders. I mean, there are some of the quote unquote epic shaders that I only have a few of, but I don't know. I don't see it being that big of a deal. The comment that my friend had made is, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be playing this epic game, Destiny. So I can't come over and play role playing games with you guys this week. And his comment back was, because he doesn't play Destiny. His comment back was, really, you're gonna play that dumb game that they charge you to put shaders on? And that's true. I mean, this is somebody that's like not, he doesn't own a console. He doesn't play Destiny. I mean, he knows about stuff like this, but yeah, other people out there are hearing it. So I mean, it is obviously a big deal, and it's kind of a bummer in some ways. But they are definitely promoting Eververse. Let's just put it that way.
Like, I would agree with you that this would all be good, like, if they just gave you a lot of shaders. Like, I'm totally down for that too. But they don't. The problem is that, like, all the shaders I've ever gotten, I've gotten 3 Hack A polish and 3 tempered copper or something like that, and I really like both of those. So if I get enough to put like a set of gear, one full set of gear with one of those, finally, I'm never going to change that color.
Okay,
because I'm never going to get enough more of them.
No, this is
why. Wait. Maybe more importantly, Agrios, is the fact that you're never going to change that armor or weapons. Like, that's the biggest problem. It's not even like I'm spending this shader for this slot. You're spending this shader for this one set of gauntlets or this one auto rifle. Like, that's the problem. It's not even like, here, I'm going to spend it for this, and then no matter what I change in and out of there is going to be this color. It's that one piece of gear.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll go into that too, because that's about my epicness that I'm gonna say about that, because you're kind of hitting it on the head there. But I don't think you're accurate in the way you're seeing it, Agrios. And the reason I'm saying that is because once you hit the end game, every time you level up, you get those bright engrams, and every time you get those bright engrams, you're turning them in for shaders. So I'm going to my
getting 3 from how big of a pool though?
So I'm going to my my thing right now. Okay, I have 40 slots of shaders. 40 slots, and I want, like, some of those slots I have 28, 24, 40.
And they're all lame. Those ones are all lame color schemes too.
What do you mean they're all lame? Okay, I don't have any that's only one. Okay, so what I'm saying is you're getting shaders. You're not like, oh, they're going to give you one shader. Okay, I'm not defending Bungie's way of doing it. What I'm saying is people are looking really down on this, and I think that it's not that big of a deal in my eyes.
Regarding the Eververse shaders, there's a pool of 20. However, 3 of those are being sold at all times.
There you go.
With the bright dust. So if you get shaders you don't want, pretty sure you can dismantle shaders and get bright dust from it if it's a bright dust shader.
Well, there you go. That's even more so.
But still, it's going to give you stuff like ghosts and ships and sparrows every time you level up. And those ships and sparrows are worth like 100 bright dust each. So that's another 2 shaders
that you can buy. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that kind of goes against my point. Okay, now as far as, like, do I think it's epic? The game, there are certain aspects of it that I do not think is epic. The one thing that the easiest way for me, the only thing I really want to say as far as epic, and then I'm gonna let whoever's next go, is that I know, because this was like a long conversation and it shouldn't have been. I think the game overall was pretty good, but there were certain aspects of it that I thought, okay, it was kind of easy. The game, the story, like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. I played it solo. Part of the reason I played it solo is because I wanted to. Part of it was because of how I started out playing, but I ended up playing the entire campaign solo. I finished the campaign by the second day, and hit 20 by the time I ended the campaign, and I didn't have any issues going through that. So that part for me was, that was kind of bummer. And then they go and they make other things super hard, which doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, I'm done.
Alrighty, a lot of tough customers here, Gray. So what I want to do is I would like you to weigh in on any of these things that we've already discussed: shader system, the how Bungie chose to make this game epic or not epic in comparison to Destiny 1, as viewed through the eyes of no longer being held back by a system from 2005. Also, whatever else they said, plus what you think is the best part for you, the best part of Destiny 2 for you. And then I'm going to go right back down the line, and I want to ask what your least favorite part is, whether you liked it, and then how many stars out of, like, 5.
Sounds good. I think that the fact that there's so much discussion about the shader issue just goes to show how good the game really is. That this is the linchpin. This is the thing that people can throw salt on as the only open wound to publicly really complain about, that it would have some actual validity to it. That just shows how much good there is in this game. The other things to be nitpicky about would be so insignificant. This is what people are kind of rallying behind. And part of that is because of the financial Eververse type piece of it and the transition from Destiny 1. I'm not concerned about it. It doesn't bother me. I like the aspect that the shaders are far superior in terms of the actual effect on your character. I mean, they look fantastic. I'm running some now that have this gradient effect, and shimmering, almost metallic look with the gradient effect, that I'm just amazed at the quality that they're making my character look. The carbon fiber texture effect that it adds, fantastic. Looks just amazing. So they've done so many things right on the shaders. The fact that they're consumable, it doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like it, in the sense that it makes that it makes it more valuable. It makes my character, when I get a full set and it's set up the way that I want them to look, I actually care more about how my Guardian looks than I ever did in Destiny 1. I still am a hot mess in terms of my Destiny fashion, but I was even more of a hot mess in Destiny 1 because I would usually just leave everything on default, so nothing ever matched.
See, it's funny. It's had the exact opposite effect on me. See, in Destiny 1, I always wanted to get like as many different cool shaders as I could have so I could flip to whatever mood I was in and or situation that I was in. And, you know, I'd change subclasses. I'd change shaders.
Yeah, I think I think that the difference for me here, why I care more about the shaders, is better color palette. I went through the shaders. I mean, I used shaders in Destiny 1, and I was never that overwhelmed. I started to get more impressed with the physical side of my character when they started doing the Age of Triumph raid set armors that had the ornaments on them, and that really kind of made your character pop out with various animations. I think what's happening with Destiny 2 is the textured effects, things like that carbon fiber, things like the gradient effects. That's what I like. The color palette, I could take or leave, especially given a lot of the European Dead Zone shaders I'm not a huge fan of, because it's got that pretty bland, earthy color palette to it. It's fine. It's kind of matches the world you're getting them from, but I'm much more into that black carbon fiber gold. That's kind of what I'm liking on my character. And I agree with what Luke.
The new shaders. That's part of what like causes me issues, is because like Remy says, I love going. I get a new piece of armor. I'll say, oh, let's see what all my shaders look like on it, and go through all of my favorite shaders with the preview button and see. But I'm not actually using any of them because. Yeah. I would want to flip from this shader to this shader to this shader to this shader. Oh, now I don't have any.
Yeah. So someone in the chat said, I think Agrios should just get multiple sets of the same gear.
Yeah. That person.
That's actually what's going on right now. That's the current plan, and I.
Thanks for the comment, not Jez.
Okay, so that's my opinion on shaders. I agree with what Luke Smith said, that this is a way to incentivize players to continue to go into certain aspects of the game and seek out a specific reward. I think that the Eververse side is such a small piece of that design. I don't think that was their motivation, but I think it makes sense to have Eververse type shaders just because it's an easy thing to plug into that category of the game. All right. My favorite thing so far in Destiny 2, well, I guess before we get to my favorite thing, to comment on what Shark said, I agree. The raid was way too easy. Practically could solo it myself. They need to turn up the difficulty on some of these. More mechanics probably would be my biggest recommendation to Bungie if they could do anything. No, the raid is incredibly difficult, and we'll get into who here, Jez, has finished the raid so far, and discuss that, I'm sure, later in the show. My favorite thing is actually the adventures, probably because it was unexpected. I went in and was thinking that this was going to be a very like mini mission type thing, not even like a full mission, just like almost more of in between a patrol and a mission. And I was sent on something that was much more like a quest. Now, some of them are a lot shorter, but some of them are pretty long, drawn-out quest experiences. And I don't want to give out any of the kind of story pieces for people who haven't done them yet. But it highlights different parts of the story and different parts of the lore that I was not expecting. And maybe that's what I liked most about it. It was something I didn't expect to be in the game. And it was a pleasant surprise. I remember Mark, Yuna, and I were going through this adventure just thinking like, this is just getting cooler and cooler. The things that they put in, that they programmed, the audio mix, the enemies that we were battling against, the whole story, how it was tied together was this mini little campaign within Destiny 2 that we didn't expect. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fantastic addition. Which actually is a good segue into one of my least favorite things in the game, which are the lost sectors.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's because I think my expectation level was so much higher than a a very small little dungeon with one boss. I was expecting there to be maybe puzzles, mechanics, something that's more in line with what we experienced in like Final Fantasy 15 when you go into some of these dungeon type scenarios, and you might be in there for an hour and a half before you come out with the final loot, and it's worthwhile. You get loot that was, it was something in the game that was worth spending an hour and a half to get. When I was doing my is it Sturm, the exotic
Sturm and Drang.
And Drang, when I had to kill yellow bars to complete that part of the quest, I just loaded in next to failsafe, went straight to the lost sector. I had it down to where I could down him in 3 minutes from the time I loaded in to taking out the yellow bar within that lost sector, and I just cycled it 10 times to charge up that quest step. It seems odd that I can get in and kill the final boss in a lost sector in less than 3 minutes.
Is that part of that quest to kill lost sector bosses?
No, it's just 10 yellow bars, but to consistently find a yellow bar to kill with Drang, it was the quickest and easiest way to continually have a yellow bar available to kill.
That sounds like, I mean, that's even faster than going and doing public events.
Right.
You can do public events pretty fast. That's lame.
So I was just to go to the European Dead Zone. There's 3 lost sectors right there, and public events happening above.
Yeah. Yep. So it was one that I had higher expectations, both in terms of the length of what the lost sector experience was going to be and the variety. I feel like if I jump into a lost sector on IO or Nessus or European Dead Zone, very similar experiences. Working your way down through a tunnel, killing ads, finding a yellow bar, getting his loot cache. It doesn't matter where I am, what planet. It's a very similar experience across any lost sector, and that I found a little disappointing.
I could definitely understand that. I feel like for me, it was like it's just something that I add on to my already just interested in patrol aspect. So as I'm just cruising around looking for loot, here is this whole, that turns into a much larger opening, and then there's a bad guy. Like I feel like for me, the difference was that I had a different expectation of it, because what you're describing sounds really cool. I'm very interested in a much more a much deeper experience, like having some kind of mechanics, a puzzle system. That sounds great. And actually that fits more in line with what I thought lost sectors were going to be, but because I spent so much time in vanilla Destiny running into caves, it's just so nice for the cave to actually go somewhere instead of it being here's a little J hook and is there a chest? No, okay. So I'm very interested in that specific idea, Gray. We should make sure that is talked about more in future episodes.
I have a question to Gray, because I know for myself, because I agree with your whole assessment on that, but I'm curious, when you started doing those, what level and power were you at?
We certainly knocked out a few early in the game. So I would say that our first lost sectors that we experienced was right when we got to the European Dead Zone and could start exploring. So that's pretty early in the campaign. You're talking probably the 3rd, 4th mission when you go to speak to Devrim K. And I think that the first quest step actually has you go and do a lost sector.
Right.
And so it was at that point that we started doing more exploration in the European Dead Zone. We took the campaign a little bit slower and spent a lot of time exploring. Yeah.
Okay.
So continuing, Gray, your least favorite thing was the lost sectors. So what would you give Destiny, like if you had to just rate it right now, out of 5 stars, or you can give it whatever value you want to have it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know what your overall opinion is at this point of Destiny 2.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. It's I'm more exhausted than anything else right now. So a lot of what I find negative in the game is more because of lack of sleep, and certainly going through a very fun but a very intense 12, 13 hours yesterday doing the raid. It was a very exhausting experience. And today was my first day back to work after a couple days of, I was at a conference and then I was on vacation for the raid day. So I'm still giving it a 10 out of 10. It's the best game I've ever played. A lot of my salt or dissatisfaction is going to be highly related to really drinking from a fire hose this week of Destiny 2. I'm not even sure my body knows how to consume Destiny 2 in a more appropriate manner, because I'm just so used to right now of playing for hours every day kind of thing. It's kind of a new normal that I have to reset and find a new balance. But yeah, best game I've ever played. 10 out of 10.
Excellent. I really like your take on that. I like your ability to really assess what is going on in your mind, like not only how you feel, but why you feel how you feel. I really like that a lot. Okay, let's see. We will go with now Shark's least favorite thing about Destiny, and then I want you to give it your out of 10. How many points out of 10, please, and thank you.
Least favorite. I mean, there's a few things I'm not very happy with. I'm gonna have to pass and give you an answer for that. I'm gonna have to think about it. I'm gonna pass that over to other people, but I will give you a rating 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah,
all right.
So I'm rating it on like a video game style rating. There aren't how often do you see 10 out of 10 ratings for any video game? So I'm going to rate it 8 out of 10. That's a high score. I think it's a great game. It's not the most perfect game, but it's freaking awesome. Absolutely awesome.
You do have a very picky beard, and so I will take that 8 out of 10 and I will transform it into my mind as a 10 out of 10. Like 8 out of 10 from Sharks is a 10 out of 10. Okay, let's see. Agrios, least favorite part of Destiny 2 and your rating out of 10, please.
My least favorite part of Destiny 2 is probably that overall it's too easy. Certain aspects of it are nicely on par with their hardness, but other vast majority of it seems too easy in general. I would love for there to be a harder difficulty level for lots of these things. Even if the reward wasn't any better, I'd just pick it for fun. Like, I think there's a large group of people who would, and I don't know if they, how easy it is for them to just artificially inflate the difficulty of something by turning everything up to 11, so to speak. But like, I would pick those difficulties. Like, I go to an adventure or something, it offers me the option, I'm going to pick the harder one, even if the reward is not better. So like, I would enjoy that if they could incorporate it into the game more. That, and then so many of the things were 2 steps forward, 1 step back, like the shaders. Part of my problem with the way, we discussed with that is that they're so awesome. They did a really good job. There aren't so many utterly gross combinations of colors this time. And like, there are a lot of really, really sweet textures. And that's half my beef with how they ended up making them, that I'm going to be locked into having all these different sets of armor if I want to be able to change my shaders.
Yeah.
And there's already storage issues if I'm going to go that route.
Right.
You're going to fill up that bank?
If I start getting whole sets just so I can change shaders, I will.
That'll be like 50 sets.
I feel like I'm going to do it too.
Together, though. I mean, so you got to figure half that space is going to be armor. I mean weapons. so I'm only going to use half that space for armor. But I don't know.
I
maybe
feel
I won't
like
spend space.
I'm going to definitely fill up that space just based on all of the different guns that I have no idea exist. Like, even at the end of Destiny 1, I was still seeing guns and gear that I had never seen before. And so I don't know what it is about RNG right now, but I've been granted so many different sniper rifles, and I'm not necessarily a sniper rifle guy, but I do see the usefulness in it in certain situations. And I have like 7. I have like 7 completely different sniper rifles, and that I'm super excited to check out. But when that's going to be, who knows? When am I going to have enough infusion in order to make it, worth using? And everyone I try out feels fantastic. So I have a feeling that I'm going to fill it up with guns that I might not be able to use right away, but because guns come with the options already enabled, you just have to select which ones. It will be a much quicker process than having to upgrade all of them in order to see what this is like at full availability. So I'm with you there, Agrios. And your rating of Destiny 2, please.
Well, I'm the type of guy. What scale are we using? Did you
Out
scale
of 10.
Scale? Out of 10. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm the type of guy who doesn't give anything a 10. So I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay, so Agrios' 9 out of 10 is a 10 out of 10.
Well, no. Something. I mean, you could get a 10, but like, you're not going to.
You're a funny guy, Agrios. Okay, Jez, least favorite aspect of Destiny 2, plus your rating of the game, please. Thank you.
I mean, one of my most least favorite parts is the fact that everything, or like half the things I use, seem to be classified, so I have to use the manual app.
What does that mean?
Like, instead of using Dim, I have to use the Bungie app to move stuff because it's classified on Dim.
Like, for instance, which thing he's grabbing. There's just a clump of 5 classified things. He's like,
interesting.
Like you can't even move them if they're classified.
Oh, you can't. I thought you just couldn't identify them, and that's why people couldn't do it.
You can move them today. You could.
Okay.
You can't tell what it is, but
that's the way it was on Destiny 1. I thought so.
Yeah, but if you happen to know what the power ranking is as of today, I don't know if they did something to the code, but I was able to move stuff that I wasn't able to yesterday.
I still can't move anything on Dim. Well, anyways, that's kind of outside the game, so I won't count that. Let's go with not being able to replay story.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Except for in the random cases that Ikora has one of those missions up.
Yeah, it's some memories.
Man, that's a really good one to not like. That's a really good one to not like, Jays. I wonder why that is. And you know what? This gives me pause for whether or not I want to just rush through and get all of my characters up to speed, because once those are gone, they're gone. So yeah, that's a really
they'll probably come around every week in those meditations.
So, I always thought this about Destiny, and I still think it. In one of the very, very early developmental shots, we see what appears to be 4 character slots. If they just gave us a 4th character slot, it would solve so many weird little issues. Like, there's the people who don't care about deleting characters and, like, will just run, 4 hunters for a while now, then, delete one and, bring back a warlock and whatnot. And then there's other people who are like completely dedicated. And then there's the situation that, like, well, what if you want to play through with a friend who just picked up the game and stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be nice to be able to just start a character, have another slot for a character that you can delete willy-nilly, so to speak, and still have your one of each class that doesn't go anywhere. And I always thought that would be really nice to have.
I decided that the one that I'm going to use for that is the Warlock. I feel if I'm going to delete any one of them, it's going to be the Warlock. I never really felt specifically attached to my Warlock. With the only reason I ended up using it so much in Destiny 1 is because I could resurrect myself. Like, that is just I can't understate how important that aspect was. And now that that's not a thing, it's not that big of a deal. Plus, the Titan is the one that I'm emotionally connected to, and then the Hunter is the one that I feel like kind of goes with my play style the best. So I think if I'm going to do any of those, I'm going to be restarting my Warlock. So continue, Agrios.
Oh no, that was really all I had to say about that.
Oh. So continue, Jess.
So yeah, that's it. Just being able to replay story missions willy-nilly, not because I want to replay the story. That would get boring after a while. Destiny 1. But I would like to go to certain vistas that you can't go to normally. Like, I don't know.
There's ship with a secret room?
There's one, yeah, and there's also no secrets on the story missions because you can't replay them. Or there's probably not as many secrets. I don't know. It's harder to find secrets, I guess. But yeah, there's a certain mission that has a really interesting setup that I wish I could just sit in and get a tan, a really big tan.
A really big tan. And your rating?
I would go with 7.8 out of 10, which actually is a 9. The callback.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jez. My least favorite part of Destiny 2 is it's a combination of the infusion system. Like, I'm really glad that they kept the 1-to-1 infusion, except for in the cases of exotics or any piece of gear that has the little bonus, +5 bonus. I don't like that I have to wait for another auto rifle. If I'm going to upgrade this auto rifle, I want it to be primary, kinetic, energy. Like, this makes the most sense to me, as far as it being just a game. Now, in this world, lore-wise, it makes a ton more sense for it to be auto to auto instead of just primary to primary. But as a player, I'm being forced to use gear that I might not be interested in. And this is coming from somebody who's excited to try out every piece of gear who comes his way. The only weapon that I looked at, knew I wasn't going to like, and then didn't like was the Hack A pistol. There's like a Hack A pistol that's a similar model to one from Destiny 1. I didn't like it then. I didn't like it now. I just broke it down. Boom, give me my 3 shards and moved on. It's a cross between that and the fact that I earned myself a chest in the raid last night, and I didn't get any goodies out of it. And the rest of my clan, well, except for Skeets, he didn't get anything either. Everybody else got a piece of gear. Everybody else got a weapon. They got
but that's a thing going on there. That's not there. There were whole teams that came to my stream.
Totally.
That said their entire team didn't get anything.
Totally. Both of ours. Yours didn't get any, right, Gray?
Yeah, we had one. It was after the second door opening phase. That chest was completely empty. Nobody got anything out of it.
For everyone, that sucks. But at least you guys, misery loving company, and what have you. At least none of you got one. Here I was.
Do you mean the chest you get for the first door opening, and then the second door opening?
The second door opening.
Yeah.
Not the first one. The first one I expected coins or whatever. The second one, when other people are dancing about, I have an auto rifle. I've got a pulse rifle. I didn't even get a rock. Like, it's just so infuriating. I'm still so pissed off about it.
Oh, I know what happened.
What?
I know why these whole teams didn't get any loot. Last time they played Vault of Glass, they opened the Spirit Bloom chest.
Oh, that does it. But for reals though, like I am like, this is totally infuriating to me. At least if nobody got something, it would make sense. This team didn't get anything. This team didn't get anything. Our team didn't get anything. No, I wanted to be happy for my teammates, but I was not. Everyone was like, "Oh, look at my sweet new gear," and I was like, "No. How about I don't look at your sweet new gear? I'm too busy being jealous and mad I didn't get anything." I'm just being honest.
That actually happened. He's not just being facetious.
No, no.
I didn't want to put my gun on because I didn't want Remy to hate me.
Right? And you know what?
Yeah, I believe it.
Look at my gun, Remy, and he said what he just said.
Yeah. I couldn't be happy for you right that second. I was upset.
It's actually reminding me of when you used your bones on a Crota run and somebody spoofed the challenge for you, and your exact words were, "Not only did I get nothing, I got double nothing because I used my bones."
Yep.
Right. Double nothing. And I am happy for you guys. Like, it is cool that you guys got that piece of gear, but being that we didn't complete even the section after that, there was no chance to get more gear. So, I mean, if I had gotten even, let's say, the hand cannon, which I'm least likely to be interested in using, at least there would be something. At least I got some kind of treat for that 8 hours that we spent doing those things. And also a question that I want to talk about when we get to the raid at some point tonight, next week, whatever. When is the right time to look up how to do something so you don't spend 6 hours doing the same thing wrong over and over? Just something to think about, Sharks, Agrios, Gray, Jez, something to think about, because I've been thinking about it. And at some point after the first 2 hours, we should have said, well, check this out. We're not getting this. Why don't we find out how to do this so we can move on?
Anytime we wanted.
Totally, but it didn't even occur to me. You know what? It didn't even occur to me because I was having fun. But really, I would have liked to have gotten as far as we could have. Oh, Sharks has his thumb down. All right. Well,
at one point, I wasn't having fun. No, I just want to give, because I know you're about to move on. So I'm going to give the thing that I don't like, because I've thought about it, and
excellent.
And it's kind of a combination of everything that's kind of been talked about. But it's not really infusion per se. I don't have a problem with the infusion, even how to infuse and mods. That's kind of a problem too. But I think my biggest issue with Destiny, the way Destiny 2 is how it's not even drop rates. What power rating of things that are dropped at public events, for strikes, for Crucible matches, at vendors, the numbers that they give you based off of the power level that you are. I don't really like that system. And I think the biggest reason I don't like it is because of how we came off of Destiny 1. Like, for instance, if we were max power, we would get max loot. Or, if you were this power, you would get loot very similar to that or above. Right now, I'm getting things drop that are below my curve, and so I don't like that. There are ways around it, but that's my issue. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, so as far as my rating of Destiny, I'm gonna have to go 10 out of 10 as well. Like, I understand that there's flaws and there's things that genuinely piss me off about this game, but as far as my overall experience, as far as my overall attachment to the game and the lore and how much I imagine myself playing, how much I played Destiny, which is not arguably a lesser version of Destiny 2. I feel like I'm happy spending so much time in this world. I'm happy with the drops that are happening. I'm happy with these leveling systems, with the exception of, auto to auto. So overall, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. It is a magnificent game. It's basically they took everything that Destiny 1 had, and they either made it bigger or better, and more fleshed out, and more I connected more with it. Like the story was. I mean, there was a story. I know that there was a story in Destiny 1. I know people like to say there wasn't a story in Destiny 1, but the way they laid this one out was really fantastic. the conversation that you have with Zavala when you get to Titan is heartbreaking, especially when you realize how he feels about the people. Like in that very first mission that was in the beta, Ikora was like, they're attacking the Traveler, and Zavala's like, no, the Traveler waits. We're getting all these people out first. Like, it was heartbreaking hearing him be so broken. And so I just feel like, yeah, I have to give it a 10 out of 10, like from my heart. This is fucking fantastic game, and Bungie did a fantastic job, and I'm going to play the crap out of it. And I've bought bright engrams. I did so before I realized every level gives you a bright engram. But I want to support Destiny. I want them to continue making this franchise. I want to know more story about this. I want to know more about how the game ended. And so it's fantastic. So we will move on after Sharks tells me why he's shaking his head.
No, just spending money on stuff like that. That's why I'm shaking my head.
You
don't think that they're going to make money? There was 1.2 million people playing the other day.
They said 1.3 was the high mark.
Oh, well, that's even worse. Okay, 1.3 times how much does it cost for this game?
So I tell you what, I would not have bought bright engrams if I knew that they dropped after every level, which I think is fantastic. I think that Agrios, I thought for certain you were going to say your least favorite part was that mods come from those bright engrams. And I was going to attempt to counter you by saying that, like, first off, when you hit level 20, you get 3 bright engrams, just like that. There's been a couple of times where Tess has just given me one. Like, oh, here is just one for being awesome.
I got 2 for going through the raid.
As a bonus. You can get plenty of mods from the gunsmith.
Absolutely. So there are mechanisms in place that they make that a different story. I don't think I would have bought any if I knew it was going to be every level, because I do keep getting some. But I don't know. Fantastic.
I have absolutely no problem with the bright engrams or like the way they're purchased or anything like that, because you can just earn an unlimited amount of them through the game. That takes away, like, if you do that to what you're selling, there's no longer any problem I can have with it.
Right. I'm glad that you're so logical about that, Agrios. Okay, so yeah, excellent work, Bungie. Please continue to make adventures for me and my friends to step into. You know what? Actually, the worst part about Destiny 2 for me was the fact that my fire team was nowhere to be found, and I couldn't even be sad about it or mad about it, because number one, Agrios was going to blow away with Irma, and then Sharks has been playing with his brother and his wife. How cool is that? But here I was, just like Zavala, I need my fire team. I had to play the game by myself. Sure, Lawn Boy came and helped me with some missions. I didn't want to play the game by myself like Sharks wanted to. I wanted to play with my fire team. I didn't want it to be a solitary victory, but I did it. I powered through it, and I feel like maybe this was the way it was meant to be played for me. Like, I didn't want to do it by myself, but I was this last guardian, even though there's 1.2 million of us running around, 1.3 at that one point. But it was like, that was like the low point for me about Destiny 2, was that, the people that I usually played with, the people that I've played so many hours with, they were off somewhere else. One was in danger, and the other one was having a really good time with family. And so I couldn't be mad. I couldn't be sad. I just had to internalize it and move forward. So that was the low point for me. I need my fire team, and it made me sad. But I'm glad that you didn't blow away, Agrios. That's great news. And I understood you had to prep for what could have been the worst day of your life or the last day of your life. I'm not mad about that. And for real, Sharks, how cool! Your brother and your wife. That is excellent. That is like Destiny gold right there. So I made it through, and I can't wait to talk about the end of Destiny at some point, either today or next week or the week after that. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. The thing I want to talk about next is this thing about the raid engrams. Gray, what do you want to talk about? What do you think we should talk about next?
Oh, this is just open floor, huh?
Well, I just want to feel for it, so then maybe we can all decide on what.
I think we should touch a little bit on PvP. We've talked a lot of PvE, but we haven't really addressed anything from the PvP side.
Okay, Sharks, what do you think we should talk about next? There's a lot.
There's too much. Whatever you guys decide. I'm good on all of it.
I'm fine with talking about PvP and what's going to be coming up here tomorrow morning, or we can go into the raid. Obviously, if you want to talk more in depth about the raid, that's up to you guys.
Okay, Jez, what do you think?
Sure, let them have their PvP.
Since nobody else had additional ideas, the other thing that I think we might want to touch on just a little bit are thoughts on the new NPCs, who we like, who we don't like.
Oh, I like that one a lot. Okay, so let's do NPCs, and then we will go with PvP. All right, NPCs. I love Devrim K. I feel like he is like the mission where you're putting up those beacons, and Cade was supposed to do it, but he did it instead. Like that, I feel like that's so funny. And then Hawthorne gets on the line and says, "Oh, hey, you doing Cade's work, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, you want to help?" She's like, "Oh, something just came up. I gotta go." Like that was so funny. I love Devrim K. I love the person who voices him. I love the polygons that make him up. And I think that he's my next favorite after Zavala and then Ikora. Like I love Devrim K. And my least favorite is Failsafe. So dislike Failsafe.
Really?
I dislike Failsafe. I feel like maybe it's because I don't understand the reason that this AI would have so much personality, but like who would program into this AI like pissiness, Like I can understand. Well, I know she's broken.
It's part of what Bungie likes to do with AI, with rampancy, and having them batshit crazy.
Totally. No, I get that. I'm actually really fine with that, but I don't understand. I mean, I guess it comes down to I don't have time to understand what I don't understand, because like I can understand why you would program in that first voice, the happy voice. It makes sense.
Nobody needed to program it. If it's an AI, it could have developed it all on its own.
I know, and I guess I just don't understand why that is, and why those two would be so conflicting.
Why did you decide to wear the color clothes that you wear? No one your parents didn't program you to pick out the clothes style that you wear. You just decided throughout the course of your life to start, dressing that way. Or if you decide to talk like a redneck or decide to talk, extremely urban. You develop that yourself. No one you weren't programmed to talk that way.
I guess I see what you're saying. I guess I just don't like her. I don't like that kind of humor. I mean, I do enjoy self-deprecating humor, but I don't know. It just was not a very pleasant.
I agree with you that Failsafe annoys me. Just put that out there though too.
I like the character and the idea of Failsafe. Certainly the community has rallied behind Failsafe. The only thing that my only criticism, some of the lines of dialogue I think are a little bit easy, expected. Not as creative and almost a little bit cheapened, I think. I think they could have worked a little bit better on her dialogue than it being, as Longboy just put in the chat, a little bit too analogous to Claptrap from the Borderlands games. Man.
That's a good call, Longboy. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, Claptrap was super happy when he was telling you suck.
Well, he in the beginning he called you his minion. That was pretty entertaining. Okay, so let's see, Jez, favorite NPC, least favorite NPC.
I think Asher is growing on me.
Oh yeah, Asher's funny as hell.
Well, I could probably listen. I could probably listen to Devrim talk forever.
Right. I'm so glad that you said that.
Because Gideon Emery is one of those voices that I love.
Oh, so did you know who it was beforehand, or did you do research?
As soon as I heard the voice in the trailer, back in the reveal event, I'm like, That's Gideon Emery. Because
Interesting.
I've heard his voice enough to know that.
Where did you hear his voice? Where would we know his voice? Or is it a Canadian thing?
He's in Teen Wolf. How about that?
He's in other video games too.
Yeah, he's in a lot of other video games. He's in this game called Destiny. He was the voice of Brother Vance or the Cryptarch in the Reef. One of those guys.
Okay.
Let me look. Yeah, it's the Cryptarch in the Reef.
Interesting.
But let's see. What's some other
Okay,
big
I
games?
believe he's somebody special in Gears of War, if I'm not mistaken, because that's where a lot of people are like, it's weird hearing this guy. Isn't that who? If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that.
He's in Call of Duty. Oh, nope. That's just a random dude. He's Stranded Crew #1 and Thrashball fan #1 in Gears of War 3, so I don't think that's who they're talking about. But in Call of Duty, he has a name, at least.
Yeah, maybe it was a different character that someone was saying there's a character that people are saying, like, all they can hear is his other character when he talks in Destiny 2, and it makes them, feel weird.
My voice cut out, so I had no idea what you just said. So I can't respond. Hopefully it wasn't something I needed to respond to.
What did you say, Agrios?
I said that I see threads where people are saying that when they hear whoever I was talking about in Destiny 2, all they can hear is their character from the other game they know them from, so it's weird for them.
A lot of people have been saying it's weird hearing that Cryptarch's name coming from this guy.
Interesting. Let me see 1 second. Wolf Bible says, heartbreaking when you realize how inept Zavala is. Time to retire. No. He made a bad call. He's got a good heart, and I think he's a badass. Sure, he died in that first mission, and I had to revive him, but who doesn't die in this game? I mean, it is heartbreaking what happens, but okay. So, and then what was the other part of your answer, Jess?
You just asked what did I like, and it was...
And then who do you not like?
Oh, who do I not like?
Least favorite.
Yes, because I never go to...
You're breaking up.
Too much, like... I guess Sloan.
Oh, okay.
Because I never go to Titan, and she's very much the Vala light.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Am I still breaking up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's see. Zion Hill says, dislike equals awesomeness, by the way. So Remy hating failsafe means she was done right. I can go along with that. If they were but I mean, it doesn't really make sense because so many people really enjoy that character. But I mean, it does make sense in that maybe I wasn't supposed to like the fact that here's this AI who is having problems deciding, which side of the fence to hang out on. So that's very interesting. Think Data and his brother Lore, Zryon Hill says. And man, I love TNG. I cannot wait to go back and watch it. I just watched a YouTube clip of Picard defending Data's sentience, and it was so good. And I thought, who picks Star Wars over Star Trek? You're a fool. Okay. Moving on. Let's see who we have here. Agrios, favorite NPC, least favorite NPC.
Asher Mir, I mean, not because of like his voice acting or lines in the game. but more because of his concept of character and like lore. And Failsafe kind of gets a little annoying after a while. Like I don't really particularly dislike Failsafe's character, but like I find her chatter as I'm trying to do events on Nessus a little annoying after a while.
I could see that. I don't spend much time on Nessus. I have spent a lot of time on Titan, and I do enjoy being in the EDZ when Devrim says, "Oh, attention, everybody! You know, there's a public event," or whatever he says. I thought that was pretty cool. Did you have more to say, Agrios, or no?
No, that's really it.
You know, that's a really good call about Asher. I really enjoyed what little interaction I had with Asher. There was a part where someone was like, "Oh, is this Asher?" You know, whatever, and then he's like, "That's irrelevant." It was so funny. I don't know. That was really great. Okay, Sharks. Favorite NPC, least favorite NPC.
Asher Mir, favorite NPC. I just like the comments he makes. I think it's enough cheekiness without being overboard. Just all around cool character. I still really like Cade 6, but I mean, especially as a new character, I think Asher Mir for sure, because in lots of the story. Least favorite, Devron K. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's totally a lie. Totally a lie. Don't hate me on Twitter. No, I
Sharks
hate
is sad they took away his gauntlets too.
Yeah, no, I hate Failsafe. Can't stand Failsafe at all. I don't like the wit that comes out of it. I mean, some of it's cute, but it's just like, no, it's just too annoying. I don't like it.
What was that you, Gray, that was saying like it was too easy, like that the comments from her were like it was too. How did you put it?
Yeah, it's a good segue because that's going to be what I talk about a bit in my favorite and my least favorite. So I'm actually going to say, because of thinking of the character as a whole, Failsafe is probably my favorite new NPC, but not because of the dialogue. And the voice acting, I think, is okay to good. I don't think it's great. It's got a little too much Valley Girl in it, especially when she switches over to the sassy one versus just the non-sassy one. And not that that's bad. It's a little bit immersion breaking. But thinking about how this is a ship, an exploration ship from earlier in time that crash landed on Nessus, and this AI has been stranded there this whole time, and the Fallen have been wreaking havoc, trying to repurpose parts and whatnot, and this is what's left over. I really like that concept as a character. It's very outside the box. This isn't a physical person that you go up to and talk to. This is a set of systems that was created a long time ago, and they've built a personality around that. And I do enjoy that. I think that they could have done better with the actual dialogue selection. The jokes are funny, but they could be funnier. They could have been written probably a little bit better. That's not to say that they're bad. I like Failsafe. Those aspects are good. I think the concept of the character is great. My least favorite is Sloan, because literally it took me 3 minutes to just remember who the heck was the NPC on Titan. Like, just not memorable. I couldn't think of who this person was, what they do, what they told me to do in a mission. And that's where I think that NPC, Asher, he's such a jerk to me all the time. I can remember that. Straight science guy. That's all he cares about. You are insignificant to him, and he makes you feel like that's the case. Devrim K, very strong character there in the European Dead Zone. Has a lot built around that character that is game groundbreaking, right? First gay character in a major AAA release game. Bungie was in the news for that being in the game. And the way that they did it wasn't, here in your face. It was in the subtle dialogue that you get throughout your interactions with this character. But there's something, Sloane, unless they do something with that character, there isn't a lot there that left me remembering this character from the campaign. Which, one thing that I think is a little immersion breaking that I don't understand is, so they have built a system here where you go to these various planets. There's a familiar NPC there, and then a new NPC. But there's things that are going on there, right? So before the city and the tower fell and the Cabal came and attacked, are we supposed to believe Asher was there by himself? I mean, failsafe, I can kind of buy that. Sloane was on Titan by herself. Like, how come there's only one NPC on any of these other planets? I think it's very odd when I go and it's like, well, I know Ikora and Asher are the only ones that are on Io. I think they could have done to build more of communities on these planets and made you feel like there was something else happening, not just this, I plucked an NPC and I put it on this planet for the purpose of this story. Because I find it a little immersion breaking just to have one other character that I'm interacting with on that planet.
Well, most often it's a separate section of place where it's either abandoned or there's only one person there. So I don't think it's that immersion breaking compared to, I don't know, half of the game.
Yeah.
And is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
Okay. Very interesting answers. Very interesting topic of conversation. Now, let's talk about PvP. Gray, what it is that you wanted to talk about PvP specifically?
This is one of my favorite times in a game when a meta really hasn't been established yet and everybody's playing around with different loadouts, different guns, seeing how they perform. So in terms of that, like, I think that the PvP gameplay has been excellent. The one thing that I want to kind of discuss is a drawback, right? A very different system in having two playlists, quick play and competitive. We obviously experienced it in the beta, but now we've got to really try it out in practice. How do you feel knowing that you can click on quick play and you might get supremacy, you might get control, you might get clash, but you don't have any real decision, you don't have any choice in what you're going to load into? Has that been a good thing or a bad thing for you?
This is troublesome. I definitely understand why Bungie is doing it. Like, the idea being that you're not just going to sit in one playlist forever, and none of their playlists are going to go necessarily like barren. Like, I'll tell you what, I would never, ever, 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 ever play Supremacy ever again if I could avoid it. It's still my least favorite. It's, and I feel like you're wrong about there not being a meta, because I would be surprised if anything less than 75% of the people I went up against in Crucible were not using Mida multi-tool, which apparently now is a 2-hit kill, because it's overpowered. I can't believe that Bungie again has let something slide past them so obvious, like an exotic. If there's any single weapons in the game that should be balanced well, it should be exotics. They should be, these flagship weapons that that people are going to want to use, especially since Mida multi-tool was in the first Destiny. Why do they let it be so overpowered? Like, I was getting shot from around corners. So I might have even been getting hit 3 times to die, but maybe there's something in the matchmaking that's wrong. But seriously, Mida is nuts. And maybe you're just pointing it the wrong direction, Lawn Boy. Lawn Boy says he used Mida and it doesn't 2-hit kill people. Maybe you just using it wrong, because I was getting 2-hit killed. Like Mida was the bane of my existence in Crucible. But I do get what you're saying, Gray, and as far as people who aren't using Mida is concerned, you're right. Like, the whole field is so wide open, people have not yet narrowed down like what the really good weapons are, and so being in that point in time is really cool. Continue.
I think that consolidating the playlist makes a lot of sense in terms of getting a better quality of connection in the games. I think it's playing out. They obviously came out in this week at Bungie, and they're working on the competitive playlist because it's not functioning quite to the level that they want it to be. They're going to try to make that so that the skill brackets are a little bit tighter. Oddly, though, I still, even with this consolidated playlist, did have some, not infrequent, I would say about 20 to 30% of the time, issues related to connections. Players bouncing around on my screen, disappearing, things like that. So that's definitely still in the game, more than I would be. I'm a little disappointed in that, to be honest, because 1.3 simultaneous players in the game right now, and I'm having connection issues on a consolidated playlist, makes me a little bit concerned for what I'm going to experience a year from now when that player base has dwindled down and it's even harder to get good connections to other players. I also have started to dislike Supremacy more and more. So I'm getting to where when I'm doing that playlist and it comes up that I'm like, oh man, another round of Supremacy. And I'm not sure what exactly about that game type I don't like, because I didn't mind it as much in Destiny 1, but in Destiny 2 I don't really want to play that even in that playlist. I've enjoyed the competitive playlist far more with just the game types. I find them more fun to play. Yeah, I don't know that I have too much else. The maps have been really good. I've been really impressed with the maps. They're beautiful. Probably my favorite one from just a design standpoint. The fact that we get to go back to Fellwinter's Peak and play a PvP map in that environment, knowing that they were coding Rise of Iron probably at the same time that they were working on these maps for Destiny 2. Like the timelines probably line up. Maybe it was even built before Fellwinter Peak was written in Destiny 1, since that was built by the live team. I think that's kind of cool that they knew that they were creating an environment that then was going to have this map in their following game. And it's kind of cool to get to run around and play in that environment in Destiny 2, because there really aren't too many environments that are analogous from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. But this is one that we got to experience that same area in Destiny 1, and now we get to see it rebuilt in Destiny 2's engine, which I like. You're muted, Remy.
I agree. That is really cool, being able to run around that map. And it actually does a lot to kind of connect the two games in my mind, because I've spent a bunch of time at Fellwinter's Peak. And so now, it's kind of blurring this line between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Like the tower has been taken away from us, so there's not that connection anymore. But the fact that we are revisiting this area from there, like I heard a lot of people online talking about, oh, they're just reusing assets. And number one, so what? And number two, no, they're not. Like, there's just no way that that's the same exact. There's no way that they didn't redo that. So I don't know. Let's see. Sharks, PvP. Your take, please.
Okay. I haven't seen as many connection issues as Gray is saying, but I have seen some. So it is definitely there. I personally have been impressed because it's not a lot, but again, it may be because what Gray's pointing out is we've got a huge pool right now. So we'll see what happens with that. And it was surprising when I did see some. I am enjoying the way it is as far as going in there and picking which one you want to do, and it's kind of random to a point. It's nice when you're just going in and it will change it up. But if you're not keen on certain aspects of those particular types of playlists, I can see kind of bad things with that too. But that leaves it open where people are going to be playing it, and I guess that's why they've gone that route. The one thing that I'm kind of puzzled about, I guess is the easiest way of putting it, is it seems that the competitive playlist is different times. It's lasting longer than what it did in the beta. To give you an idea, so obviously you have to go in and you have to do specific things, and one of those things is play PvP. And in fact, they have you play both quick playlist and competitive for part of this leveling up aspect of your characters. And I have learned when I was leveling stuff, because I love the competitive scene, that it was not worth playing competitive, because you could get 2, sometimes even 3 matches in a quick play than you could in a competitive match. Gurufu and I went in and we played. We were playing competitive, and we were playing the one where it's 8 lives each, and because the teams were so close, it literally went as many rounds as you could get, and that's a long ass game.
That is a long ass game.
That's a really long game. And she kept saying, I was like, well, it's almost there. They're either going to win or we're going to win or whatever, at one point. I don't remember who was up or not. And she's like, I thought you said that last time. And I go, well, I did. Oh my gosh, it's longer and longer and longer. It's just ridiculous. And I was like, I didn't want to play that anymore because we're trying to level up stuff, So maybe that's what quick playlist means, quick games.
Well, I mean, there is that aspect of each of them has like a different set of parameters. Like the competitive side has ones that are more tilted towards people who are interested in that kind of gaming. But you know what? I didn't even see that, but you're totally right. And I had the same exact game. I had the same exact game where we played out every single possible one until there was a winner. And like, it was funny because Lucy kept saying to me, like, oh, will you get me some juice? I was like, yeah, no problem. These guys are going to beat us quick. And it was like match.
Right. Well, but that's kind of bad though. If people are obviously looking at playing PvP, not just to play PvP. Some of it's for rewards, right? And if you're going to sit there and play that long, that's gonna kind of ruin people wanting to go in and play it too. So, and I was really stoked on people being excited for competitive play. Second part of PvP, just super quick, is that I'm super excited for tomorrow. Trials, yeah.
Oh, that's what you were talking about earlier. I thought you were talking about Xur, because I'm super excited about Xur. I can't wait. That's another reason why I'm interested. Like, I've been saving up a bunch of the stuff that I have in case he has anything, he's selling anything that I really want. I can't wait to see how all that rolls out. Okay.
Imagine how much salt this entire chat will have if he comes and is like, okay, you can buy these exotics with Bright Dust.
Right. Oh man, you're totally right. That would be crazy. It would be nuts on Twitter.
Also, as someone that loves fashion, can I change my answer from my least favorite thing about Destiny is the fact that you have to turn in all your rewards in order to see what those rewards will give you?
Yeah, that's a bothersome. I'll agree with that. Okay. Agrios. Well, PvP, your thoughts, please and thank you.
I really wish I had more time to have dedicated to that aspect of the game. With my limited play time, I only really got to play the bare minimum matches to get my Call to Arms done this week, and the quest stuff last week. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed what I played so far. I don't really have many complaints about it. I'm looking forward to the new event we got starting tomorrow morning. 10 a.m. Pacific. Trials of the Nine starts. The first weekend should hopefully be the best weekends because you got everybody trying it, so the loot pool's diluted with normal people that aren't, PvP gods. So I'm looking forward to getting in there and trying it the first few weekends before it really thins out. So
I definitely agree with you there. And you know what? I want to give you an internet high five for you getting to the light level that you did with what limited time that you had. I think that you did a really good job. I can't even imagine where you would have been if you didn't have to prepare for a Category 4 hurricane dropping down on your doorstep.
Yeah, I would have hopefully been 290 would have been my goal to be over that by the raid. But I was at least happy with where I got to. I didn't feel as though I was totally holding everybody back at the level I was. So.
Totally. I didn't even think about light level. I was 275. So anybody who's interested in doing the raid, 275 is a fine number to start with. If you're not getting any drops throughout the raid, I don't know how you're gonna level up to, like Bungie likes to put in like a curve as an uphill curve as far as the light level is concerned.
Jez, you're the one, you've completed this raid. What would you say is the reasonable light level to finish the encounter?
I mean, it's hard to tell because I was over the light level, so I can't really see any effective drop in power.
What light were you? I mean, sorry, what power were you? Out of curiosity.
295.
95.
Okay.
Yeah. And for as far as we got in the encounter, which, we're going to regroup tomorrow night, but we got to the ironically named Pleasure Gardens. We were...
I can tell you it's not about your power level.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is up until that point, like we've never experienced a situation where DPS is where we were weak. It wasn't, we hadn't reached a point where we couldn't do enough DPS to complete a piece of the encounter. So that was my kind of question to you is, do you think that throughout the later encounters in the raid that DPS could be an issue if you're at a 275 light level?
I can't even remember what the last boss was recommended. I mean, it'll probably shave off some, but I also didn't come across any enrages for, like, taking too long. So I don't know. Technically the dogs. Sorry. Spoilers. Technically that. Because you only have so many times before it closes on you. But it's more about... the entire raid's literally more about surviving than it is about doing damage.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And I'll talk to you later about how what you're doing might be what's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. I can't wait to find out what it is. I haven't found out what it is yet. But at one point, I think that we accidentally triggered it and we were not able to replicate it, which upsets me. Let's see. Last one, Jez. PvP. Thoughts on PvP?
Okay, so yeah, I think it's kind of silly that you can't choose between the different types of mode that you want to play. Like you're literally just throwing in a grab bag of things. And yeah, competitive is also kind of silly that it's just taking way too long for the same amount of gain. I mean, those guys really wanted a competitive playlist. I'm sure they're in it. Right.
Right. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about before we get going here, because we've got about 20 minutes left, is it turns out that when somebody in your clan beats the raid, you are then, like, the clan is then given access to an engram that has raid gear in it. And I've seen the spectrum. Like, this has been such a hot button topic in the community. And, like, I personally do not think that you should be given raid gear out of that engram. I assumed that when you were given this engram, it would be like whatever the next light level a powerful engram would give you would be, so that you could then work your way towards raiding yourself. Like, that made sense to me. It turns out that they give you this piece of raid gear at 10 light level, and I feel like that's totally backwards. I feel like wearing raid gear should be something that you earned, and that I feel like this clan experience should be helping everybody gain power levels in order to do these other things themselves. So them coming at 10 power doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, okay, so what? I'm going to infuse something into this piece of really sweet gear that I did not earn. And I feel like this is the wrong way to. I feel like it was the wrong way to do it, especially because it turns out that trials engrams are going to do the same thing. Now, I am super, super, super for all of this clan stuff. Like all of these clan things that Bungie has put into the game, I feel are really excellent, up to and including these engrams. But I feel like handing out this equipment is going to I feel like it was the wrong move. I feel like it should have been at your next light level, something that that should have been, it should have just helped you. It should have just bumped you up a little bit instead of giving you this whole piece of gear you didn't earn, especially when someone like me went in and did some part of the raid and it didn't get any raid gear. And so now if someone beats it from the clan, I'm going to get some raid gear. And I didn't earn it. I didn't go through and get it. Trials, the same thing. I mean, I'm going to still use this. I'm still going to use these pieces of gear because I bet it's going to be absolutely excellent stuff. But I was talking to Pig Jockey, one of Guardian 1's longest clanmates. He was saying that it would be really cool if there was a specific raid gear for the clan. So like here is the raid gear that you earn on your own, and then here is this engram that gives you like a clan themed piece of gear, so that there would be this separation between what I've earned and what has come to me through the clan itself. I feel like that right there, even if we took out the fact that it was raid, like what if all of these things just earned you a Titan clan piece of gear? Like that itself would be amazing, because then when you're wearing the stuff that you earned or that your friends earned for you, it would be part of this community. Like that would be specifically by itself the reward. Your reward would be, I'm wearing some gear that my clan helped me get. I think that that's fantastic. But the idea that you're going to be given gear from a raid that you didn't earn, I feel like it's going to make people upset. I feel like, and I feel like those people are justified in being upset. But this is coming from somebody who is like so interested in helping other people. I just feel like this is going to cause confusion and hard feelings in the community overall. Gray seems very interested in talking about this. Gray,
yeah,
I would love
more because I want to build on your thought. So I agree, and I won't say that I feel super strongly about the fact that players who aren't completing the raid are getting raid gear. I'm a little bit on the side of the fence that says you should earn it from the encounter. And more than anything, that's trained into me from Destiny 1, right? The only way to get raid gear in Destiny 1 was by doing the encounters, earning it. Trials the same way. I'm not a PvP, excellent player by any means. Most of my trial gear is because I fought to get to 5 wins and get something to drop, 7 wins, bounties, those kinds of things. But yeah. I was able to get decked out in the gear by doing the activity. So I'm on that side, but not so much that I don't want people to feel bad if they want to use the raid experience, the raid gear that they get from their clans. I don't want anybody to feel bad for doing that. By all means, enjoy your game, play it the way that you want to play it. I think it's an odd move by Bungie. Building on what you said, I think the ideal thing here for all of it, the Nightfall, the raids, the PvP. Trials, all those engrams that you get through the clans, I think it would be better if they had a clan-specific set of armor that you can get. Maybe make the weapons whatever's part of the legendary pool, doesn't matter. Uh-huh. But if you're wearing the armor and you're in with clanmates, it gives you some kind of a little buff. I think that would be a better way of bringing your clanmates together. We've all earned this gear as a clan, and hey, when we use it, we get some sort of advantage, increased recovery time, something like that actually makes it so that you